Okay, so let's begin with this Nigerian newspaper. We raided Dangote Group in Lagos over $3.4 billion forex deals. Over 50 other organizations risk similar action. EFCC sources a company keeps mum. On page 4 of the paper, no room for abandoned projects in FCT, says Wike. Contractors assure on May 29 delivery on page 7. The Daily Asset, 3 women linked to 84.1 billion naira fraud in just 5 years of humanitarian ministry. Halima Shehu, 44 billion naira, Sadia Umar Farouk, 37.1 billion, and then Betta Edu, 3 billion naira. Of course, the pictures are already there as well on front page of the Daily Asset. You have Tinubu appoints new executive directors for NPA and NIMASA. The Nigerian Express, NDLEA Team Khan Command intercepted 876.453 kilogram illicit drugs, others in 2023. That's according to the commander. You also have, okay, let's look at the bold one there. Alleged 31.7 billion fraud. Why Buhari's minister didn't honor our invitation. That's EFCC explaining why there. The Nigerian pilot chose to lead with this. EFCC goes after Dangote, BUA, others. Alleges that Dangote, BUA, 50 other companies are involved in forest racketeering. It was reported that Lagos headquarters of both COIs were besieged by EFCC officials around 3 p.m. Okay. Other stories, 10 terrorists killed and 9 victims rescued in Katsina, Zamfara, says GTF. The Leadership Friday is leading with, after December deadline, Port Harcourt Warri refineries still not ready. Presidency embarrassed. Lukwebiri Kerry under fire. Mechanical Commission in Memphis saving Petroleum Ministry mom. All of these you find on page 4 of the Leadership Friday. Police arrest 7 suspects over Plateau killings. Okay, that is another one captured on page 7 of the paper. Okay, Edison Ehie withdraws a suit against 25 Rivers Assembly members. On page 3, you may want to pick up that. The Standard Times has that above its nameplate. You have ban on Benin Togo certificates and NANS. A varsity administrator say 15,000 students affected. Huriwa calls for internal cleansing. Okay, this paper says suspect education certificates. Federal government may extend clampdown to Kenyan, Ugandan varsities. Dawn's experts ask government to beam searchlight on local institutions. That's how the Daily Sun is leading this morning. Plateau killings, Gombe governor advises against reprisals, will not neglect border communities, a lawmaker says on page 5. Blueprint. By-election reruns, 4.5 million to vote in 27 states. That's coming from INEC on page 16 of the Blueprint newspaper. How CBN can actualize $1 trillion economy. That's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria explaining there on page 6 as it urges overhaul of the power sector, FDI, local sourcing of raw materials. Let's check out the Daily Trust now. Subscribers kick as telcos seek federal government's nod to increase tariffs. That's another one there. You have 1 month after federal government's intervention, households, SMEs still buy cooking gas above 1,100 naira per kilogram. Families, businesses lament, the paper says, of course, with graphical illustration of how that all goes, gas reserve in Nigeria and all of that. EFCC widens probe on forest allocation, searches Dangote's office, also reported beneath the paper there. Okay, so we have the Nigerian Tribune. Appeal Court judgment unfair to me, Plateau governor tells Supreme Court on page 2 of the paper. Of course, this paper is also leading with EFCC storms Dangote headquarters investigations part of Emefiele's case on page 2. That's the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, let's check out the New Telegraph now. EFCC probes 52 firms over forest transactions with a CBN on page 2. Certificate palaver, federal government to extend ban to Kenya, Uganda, Niger. NANS says over 15,000 Nigerian students affected by federal government's ban already, on pages 3 and 5. This day newspaper is also leading with the EFCC investigations. It says EFCC investigates scores of companies over forest allocations in 10 years. Former Minister Sadia of Omar Farouk Rice Agency over failure to honor invitation, and other stories there you can also check out on the paper. We have the business day next. Okay, how is the leading? Lessons for Nigeria as India boosts FDI 13-fold in 22 years. We also have 4 Supreme Court's election judgments to watch in 2024. You can also pick up the paper and read up how student loan will make or mar education in 2024. It's also some story that will make an interesting read on the business day this morning. And so let's get in our reviewers for review of the stories. I really don't know where we can begin. But
recently, Dangote was with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. BUA also visited Tinubu like 3 or 4 times since he became president. But that notwithstanding, in spite of that, the EFCC, I said it here yesterday that, there's a new sheriff in town, no doubt, because, we've always had this suspicion about how these our billionaires make their billions. At the time, the former CBN governor said it, that people sit in their homes and make billions of naira, just through a telephone call to the CBN governor. And it's good that this is coming out. And from what I gathered, the EFCC chairman is under tremendous pressure, naturally. Dangote is Africa's richest man. So by even looking at the economic implications for Nigeria. But then, patriotism should tower above every other consideration. And the EFCC chairman has proven to be a man of dignity, has proven bookmakers wrong. And it's now clear why there was so much agitation against his appointment. At the time, before his appointment was announced, there were several stories to discredit him. So we now see why they are fighting this man. In September, without prompting, BUA promised to slash the price of cement from 5,000 to 3,500. And it was a curious announcement because nobody forced him to do that. So it will now seem that he did this because of maybe there was this foreboding that, maybe there was this feeling that somehow, the judgment day was going to come, and so the best thing was to try to make some restitution. And Dangote's, the raid on Dangote's headquarters will also have political implications in places like Nasarawa and Edo State. In Edo State, two governors, Dangote has been fingered to have been responsible for the emergence of 2 governors in Edo State, and is being accused of financing or supporting another candidate in the PDP, a lawyer and a chieftain of the party. And in Nasarawa State, he's also believed to have his hands full in the politics of Nasarawa State. Of course, I saw there's this story in the business day, I'm not sure now, where there will be 4 landmark decisions of the Supreme Court this year, particularly governorship: Kano, Plateau, and Nasarawa, and which other state? I think Ogun State, where, the Supreme Court itself is going to be on trial. I saw Governor Muftuang's plea that they shouldn't void his election based on frivolities. Because if you look at the Plateau appeal court judgment is very ludicrous on its own. Because you see, like for Plateau North senatorial election, the election was nullified, and a rerun was ordered by the Court of Appeal. You understand? In other cases, there was outright, they called for a rerun for Plateau North and one federal constituency. But for others, they said they actually declared APC winner. And then you ask yourself, on what basis, how did they arrive at, is it not the same structure that Plateau North senatorial senator had that others too? It was the same PDP structure. So it's interesting, in coming days when you see what's going to happen. But then the Dangote story is very important because you see every day we talk about Naira hitting 1,200, 1,300 Naira a day. We now see how this. We now see why this is happening. People go, they apply for Forex. They tell us they want to bring machinery for cement. They want to build refinery. They want to build tomato plants. They go and apply. They get dollars at the official rate. Then they just move down to Zone 4.
Has this improved just yet, or is it still under investigation?
What?
Okay, let's get the view of Nze on this matter. And then the next question would be, would he succeed? He said there is a new sheriff in town on the EFCC, leadership. But we know that there are so many EFCC leaders who have gone this way and then eventually didn't make it out of the whole fight against corruption. So let's see how you weigh in on the story.
That is a very good point you raise here. And the question is, will he succeed? But before success or not success comes in, at least we should thumb up the president and his team for daring where so many past leaders
couldn't dare. The untouchables. So
yes. like he said, even if in a dream, people may not believe it that Dangote and BUA, their offices, Dangote's office is being raided and BUA is also on the line. Which government has tried it? None. But we have also seen some of the revelations, according to EFC sources, why these raids or the raid took place. If, going by the EFC sources account, that these so-called richest men in Africa, Nigeria, are involved in Forex racketeering, I think, and we also know that both Dangote and BUA, there is no government at the center and in some states that they don't have a hand in making. Recently, BUA was appointed in one of the APC committees, the owner of BUA. Recently, about 3 weeks ago, the man was appointed by the APC in the National Working Committee as a member of it's either his finance committee, though he turned down the offer. But that tells you a very big story. So the point now is, like you have asked this question, several EFCC heads and governments have tried
to touch the untouchables.
To touch some untouchables.
And eventually they became the ones that were
exactly. And just like Chuk said here, that the EFCC man is under pressure. I don't think that if we have a working system, I don't think that any kind of pressure can stop an anti-corruption agency from fulfilling the work it has started. Yes, we know that EFCC in some cases have followed some matters up to the court. Some people have gotten jail terms, but they will go behind and grant them either state pardon or have some political moves that will bring them out. And some of them are still today controlling one or two things in the country's democracy. But I think this issue, it is not only about BUA, it is not only about
because the riders is the one saying that 50 other companies are also
there are other
involved.
companies. These are, if proved, these are the people that are holding this country down.
Does that explain why the exchange rate has continued
why
to be on the rise?
You will go to nobody. Bank will tell you their exchange rate is this, but when you go to Zone 4, You will see a $1 selling for 1,200 something naira. And you also now ask yourself, how are they getting this dollar? You can now see how our richest men are being made, how the poor are being made to remain poor. But I urge the EFCC not to give up. I urge the federal government not to give up. I urge them to even extend the search. Not only the 50 or the 52. There are others. Because what they do is they bring this money, this hard currency, they use it to feel that, yes, if we sponsor a government, like we will remain where we are, nobody can touch us. But for at least daring to touch, there's no government that these two big men have not had a hand in making. And that is also that.
And they also may also have a hand in the current
government
that is also trying to.
That also takes me to all these things are happening because of we have a decayed society. If the system is working, we have a working system. There should be no pressure from anywhere. And if we have a consequence for corruption, why corruption is thriving in Nigeria is that there is no consequence. You know, there should be a consequence or consequences for any bad act as enshrined in the law. But if it is lacking, as it has lacked in Nigeria, that is where you have this type of thing. That is where you have somebody going to telling a state to sell a piece of land that contains natural resources in the name of I want to build one factory or the other. Or farm. But your main motive is to tap the nation's resources. And the state will succumb, connive, conspire, and that will the country's people's commonwealth will be in the hand of one person. That is because there is no system. That is also because there is no system. It's also what is happening. I love the cover story of Daily Asset. The cover story of Daily Asset is touchy. That a ministry that was created about 5 years ago, not even up to 5 years, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and
Disaster Management.
Was created. When this ministry was created, I know that we have been shouting here severally for years that this ministry is a fraud. We have been shouting it. And I'm happy today that we have been proved right. Though they are all allegations.
They are all being
allegations. But we have been shouting here that this is a ministry that was created to fatten the purses of some people. With all these allegations, I think some of us can go to bed and sleep.
And I'm really surprised about
looking at some of the faces, innocent-looking faces.
No, the Daily Access story, I'm really surprised about Betta Idu. She just became a minister.
She's just about how many months old they are? About 7 months old or 6 months old. But if you look at this, we have been shouting that this ministry could not account for COVID money, COVID-19 money. This ministry told us they fed Nigerian people, school children, even when they were in their parents' houses during COVID. Even then, when there was a total lockdown, the ministry was busy telling Nigerians that they shared trillions of naira to unseen children. This is the same ministry that we saw that a woman, according to the allegation, who is heading the social cannot account for. My sister, my happiness today is that
there's not enough checks and balance for this
all the alarm we have been raising here, asking the former president to look into the dealings in this humanitarian affairs ministry,
which he did not honor.
It had been,
so you've been proven right.
There is nothing any government, any agency can do in this country without touching those who made the appointments.
Is there anything particular or peculiar about this ministry? Because we don't seem to have as much fraud in other ministries. Or is it that they have not come out in the open yet?
You see, let's also be fair to the EFCC. I mean, their staff strength is fixed. And then these issues are my right. The issue is this. You know, I came yesterday morning and said that, Sadia, because see, it takes two to tango. First, we have to look at the role of bank chiefs. then 2 lawyers. Because bank chief, this money, I'm sure, I mean, I gathered that, what's her name? Halima Shehu returned 32 billion naira of the 44 billion just day before yesterday, you understand? And these monies were housed by banks. They also have the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. It's an agency created and funded with taxpayers to monitor the movement of these transactions. And then these people were caught pants down. I mean, did they collude? Okay, yesterday, a lawyer too. And we can say with certainty that nothing is wrong with Sadiat Umar Farouk. But a lawyer wrote the EFCC and apparently lied that the woman is suffering from arthritis without providing a medical report. And then what's arthritis for? I mean, for crying out loud, it's not a life-threatening. I mean, if she had a problem in her mouth, because what do investigations entail? It's verbal. When they want to question one, it's verbal. So even on a wheelchair, one can come and provide answers. So, and I'm happy that the EFCC leadership is saying no to that, because they're not agreeing. They've said that next time that they'll fix a date, and if it involves bringing Sadiat in an air ambulance, they don't care. You understand? Because all the while she's been ranting and saying that she has no case to answer. She had no. So fine, a clear conscience fears no accusation. But it's very, very, very important that this is coming from. I mean, I'm a Christian. In the Bible, Jesus Christ, our Lord Jesus Christ, gave a parable about two sons. The first son, father said, "Do this." He said, "Okay, I'll do it. I will do it, Daddy." Then the other son, "Do it." He said, "I will not do it." By the end of the day, the son who promised to do, didn't do, and the son who said he was going to do, turned out to do that. Look at Buhari. From the first day Buhari took office, anti-corruption, anti-corruption, anti-corruption. At the end of the day, we've seen the anti-corruption. We came here to vilify President Tinubu that is not talking about anti-corruption, but we've seen the real fight against corruption.
So action speaks louder than voices.
Exactly. We've seen the real fight against corruption. And I heard from a very reliable source. I know Dangote gave billions of naira to the Tinubu campaigns, presidential campaigns. I heard from a very reliable source that Dangote gave plenty of money to Tinubu, but Tinubu has proven to be a man of courage. He doesn't care if you are his friend. Like I said a few months ago, BUA has gone to the villa like 3 or 4 times in the past 2-3 months. But look at what's happening. EFCC has gone after them. They've gone after them. And from what I heard, it's not going to stop there. They are determined to pursue this matter to its logical conclusion.
Chicks, it's really interesting that actually for so many Nigerians, you that is a very strong critic of the administration, is the one really praising the government. That means that if any administration does something that is right,
we said
people would always...
Nothing personal.
It's not about withholding any...
No, it's a national interest. You thumb up somebody who has done something well, good. And you criticize when the person is said. What if you criticize? You are not criticizing because you hate the government or the president, but for the person to see where did I do this wrong or right? And that is why that today we are all applauding the president and his team for at least making this move.
Taking the bold step.
And my prayer here is, my plea here is that this should not end at where it is now. They should do it to the end. And that is one other thing I don't like in the nation's judicial system is about this plea bargain. Plea bargain is not a consequence for corruption. Because if you say plea bargain, yes, somebody will return something, but he or she will not go in for it. And that would not deter others from committing the same.
All right, gentlemen, so much to talk about really on the papers this morning, but we know this is a developing story, and we want to see how, it unfolds at the end of the day, and Nigerians will want to see a logical conclusion to all of this, not like probes or investigations that, never see the light of the day. Thank you, gentlemen, once again for your time. Chuks Akuna and Ezra Chanze have both joined us for the newspaper review this morning.
Thank you for watching. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing so you won't miss out any of our latest video.